Okay, it looks like we are recording. So Melissa, if you want to get started.
Okay, so we are presenting about the Auburn University Psychological Services Center, which we all work at in some capacity. So kind of a brief overview, the AUPSC serves the community, including Auburn students, staff, faculty, and we provide both therapy and assessment services. Specifically for Auburn students, therapy services are $30 for each session. And students would seek out services at the AUPSC for a variety of reasons. You're encouraged to go to the Auburn University Student Counseling and Psychological Services Center first, as you get 10 free biweekly sessions per academic year. But sometimes brief services aren't best for students, so you might seek out the AUPSC instead if you already know up front that those brief services aren't going to be what's best for you. Or sometimes if you go through those 10 free services and still wish to have services, you might come to the AUPSC. In addition, if you are approaching graduation and know that you need to set up services with someone else in the community because you wouldn't be able to have those services at the counseling center, you might seek services with us. In addition, we do assessment services. So sometimes we get students from Auburn that are seeking an evaluation for ADHD, so you can get an assessment with us. And therapy services can be, they're very dependent on what you're looking for, what you're coming in for, but some examples we'll cover today are things that you might see or learn through services. So those are things like stress management, sleep hygiene, mindfulness meditation, activity scheduling, and coping in crisis.
Okay, so let's talk about stress management a little bit, about college life, which can be sometimes really stressful for many reasons. For example, you have expectations that these are supposed to be the best years of your life, and something goes wrong, obviously it can be stressful. You also have greater academic demand. You have more papers and assignments. And if you moved out from your parents, chores are not done magically anymore. That means you have to do laundry and all that. And that can be stressful. Relationships are changing, and even your roommates, if you have a bad roommate, you're stuck with them for a year. So that can be stressful. Let's go to the next slide. So sometimes it's hard to even realize that you're stressed out. So these are some of the signs that you can find out if you're stressed out. These are burnout, exhaustion, irritability, interpersonal issues, abuse of alcohol or other recreational drugs, suicidal thoughts, hypertension, sleep difficulties, lack of concentration, and poor performance at school. If you've noticed that you have any of these, you might be stressed out. But what is stress? Stress is technically your mind and body reaction to real or imagined threats. And the events that, or the change that causes that stress is called a stressor. These stressors can be internal, like thoughts and beliefs, like I'm gonna fail that test, or external, like things that we already talked about, or trauma. And of course, hormones are involved as well. Let's go to the next one. Is it stress helpful or is it all unhelpful? Well, it is important to know that stress is a natural experience. It's only normal that our body reacts to certain events, but stress can be helpful if we manage it properly. Imagine a test day and you're taking a test. If you're a little bit stressed out, this might help you focus and keep you on your toes. But if it's too much, then you might start thinking, oh my God, I'm failing this test, or you're like filling the wrong bubble and now suddenly you're off by 2 questions. So there's a sweet spot there. Let's go next one. What can you do about it? As I mentioned before, stress can be difficult to recognize sometimes, So there's some steps that you can take to build a healthier lifestyle, like maintain a schedule to avoid surprises, exercise regularly, work on your time management skills, learn relaxation techniques like meditations or deep breathing techniques, maintain a good sleep hygiene, which we'll talk about later, good nutrition, stay positive, stay connected with friends and family because support is really important, and ask for help. It's only normal to ask for help, and that's why we're here. Let's go to the next one. And there are some, so those were steps that you can take to avoid or prepare yourself for stress. And these are some steps that you can take when you're stressed out at that moment. You can take a deep breath and kind of step back and try to gain your focus again on the task. So take a break. That's also helpful. Talk to other people, professionals, loved ones. Get physically active. That really helps with your hormones as well. And monitor and reduce substance use, alcohol, tobacco, and all, even caffeine. They help in a very short period of time, but don't help in long term. Write down your feelings, meditate, and laugh. All good stuff that you can do.
All right, so along with stress, sleep is another concern that's very common for people, and thinking about is your sleep healthy is something that we can all do to just improve things a little bit. So when we think about sleep, I think people underestimate how important of a role it plays in both physical and mental health. And when you first come to college, things are a lot different with regards to sleep. So you don't have necessarily a set schedule. Your mom or dad isn't there telling you you need to go to sleep or you need to wake up. And so things can change a lot. But the reason we focus so much on healthy sleep is because it can really improve a lot of things, including mood. It can reduce stress, and it can help you manage other aspects of your life a little bit more effectively. So I'd like you to ask yourself kind of silently, do you have trouble falling or staying asleep? So are you laying in bed for hours before you can fall asleep? Are you waking up constantly and having trouble getting back to sleep? And then similarly, do you often feel tired during the day? So are you trying to nap a lot during the day? Do you have a really hard time getting out of bed to go to class? Those kind of things. And if you are having those difficulties, then sleep hygiene might be something that could be really beneficial for you. So sleep hygiene is pretty straightforward. It's just a set of practices that maintain healthy sleep habits, right? So these are some examples, and these are the most common things that we would probably go over with you if you were to come into AUPSC. I'm going to just briefly go through a couple of these. So a big one for many, many people is using electronic devices before going to bed. So, browsing Instagram on your phone as you're trying to fall asleep. And that can really interrupt healthy sleeping patterns. So we recommend stopping using those devices 30 to 60 minutes before bed, or if you really can't resist and you have to be on your phone, using something like a blue light filter or blue light filtering glasses to try and help reduce some of the interference that device is making. Also think about where you're sleeping. So making sure that the space that you're in is dark, cool. So anytime a room is too hot, I'm sure you can imagine that it would be difficult to sleep. And we recognize that, people have roommates, and sometimes it can be hard to make your space the way that you need it, but maybe using an eye mask or pointing a fan at you to help you cool down can all be really effective in increasing your sleep health. We also want you to think about limiting alcohol, caffeine, and nicotine, especially in the evening. So everything in moderation. Think about what effect these things are having on your sleep, and maybe if you're having a lot of trouble, just kind of taking a break from some of those things to see if you can get some better sleep. A lot of times people get alcohol confused because it can help you fall asleep really easily, but oftentimes it interrupts sleep and makes you wake up earlier than you would have without drinking alcohol. Also getting in a routine. So waking up at the same time if you can, going to bed around the same time. I know it can be tricky because you might have an 8 a.m. class one day and don't have class till noon the next day, but trying to find a good spot so that your body kind of knows this is when we wake up and this is when we go to bed. Similarly with a bedtime routine, so thinking about like taking a nice warm shower or, turning the volume down on the TV or things like that, just to like signal your body like we're getting ready to go to bed. Once you're in the bed and you're trying to fall asleep, if you can't fall asleep after about 20 minutes, we recommend that you just get out of bed, try to do something quietly, maybe keep the lights low, but if you're in bed and you're not sleeping, your body's going to get the message that this is not the place for sleeping. So we want to kind of try to interrupt that as much as we can and get yourself back into a routine of sleeping in the bed. Avoid taking naps if possible. I know naps can be so tempting, but if you absolutely must take a nap, try to do it earlier in the day and try to keep it short to about 30 minutes if you can. Try not to do activities other than sleeping in bed. Again, I know in a residence hall, sometimes your bed is your main space. You might be studying there, you might be watching TV or watching Netflix in there, but try as best you can, especially if you're having trouble sleeping, to alter that routine. And try to do these things gradually. So you don't have to try all of these things all at once. Maybe pick one or two to try over a couple of days. Try to be as consistent as you can with it to see if you notice any changes. And then if you need to, make further changes from there.
All right, so now we're going to talk about something else that you can do when you are stressed out, and that is some mindfulness meditation. So what this is it is a strategy that you can use to be present in the moment. So when we get stressed out, a lot of the time we'll start getting anxious, thinking about things that did happen or things that might happen, and this helps us just get centered and slow down our thoughts and be in the moment. So again, yes, you use this when you're feeling anxious or nervous. You can also use it prior to going to sleep to kind of help you relax and just not be focusing on all these other things that are going on. And you can do it anywhere, but you'll see that the skill that we're going to be using is ideal in a quiet room. All right, so what you're going to do when you're engaging in this sort of meditation is you will sit with both of your feet flat on the floor. Whoop. Back by accident. And you'll put your hands in your lap, and then you close your eyes, and then you want to relax your breathing. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to focus only on what you can hear. And so you're going to try to extend what you can hear out as far as you can. So you're only focusing on that one sensory experience. Can you hear cars outside driving by? Can you hear birds? What else can you hear? Can you hear people talking out on the street? You just want to relax your mind and listen as intently as you can and continue to sit like that for about a minute.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk about different ways that you can stay active, particularly in this time of COVID-19. I'm sure lots of people are sick of hearing about this, but it's especially important for your mental health to get out and do something active every once in a while, and especially if you're transitioning to college life. So yes. So here are some Auburn resources that I know of that you can use to engage in some physical activity. So I'm sure everybody knows about the Auburn Rec Center, but the Rec Center is a little bit different this year because of COVID-19. It is still open and they do clean it regularly, and they also have all of the machines, every other machine blocked off. So they're maintaining social distancing. So it does seem to be fairly safe and following guidelines. And so the rec center is open Monday through Friday from 5:30 to 9 p.m. on Saturday from 12 to 4, and then on Sunday from 2 to 9. So really good open hours. So if you want to work out inside, the rec center is definitely a good option for that. They're also doing 35 on-site classes per week, which is a little bit less than what they normally offer, but still really great. Obviously, they have to limit the amount of people that take these classes, but it's still a really good thing to sign up for. And then they're also offering 28 Zoom classes that you can do from your home. So, you know, you can still have an instructor and engage in these activities with other people just from the comfort of your own home. And then also, I'm not sure how many people know about the rental center, but it's right below the rec center, but you can go there from Monday through Friday from 12 to 6, and you can rent out a whole bunch of different materials, and like including like kayaks and bikes and like sports related things as well. If you want to do something outside, there's also plenty of parks in Auburn. And if you go to this website, auburnalabama.org/parks, they'll let you know every single park that's within Auburn. And so some of the examples that I just put up were Chewacla, Town Creek Park, and then Kiesel Park. And there are also various parks, dog parks, walking paths, trails, and athletic facilities throughout Auburn. And all that information is on that website. There's also the Crayer Preserve and Nature Center, which is a really nice little hiking trail, has some waterfalls in there, and you can choose different trails based on how long you want to be there. And then there's the Arboretum as well, which is right on campus and features a lot of local fauna and flora. So that's also a really good option if you want to do something outside. So then the next thing is how to distantly socialize. So obviously you can go to the rec and you can go to these parks with people, but there's also other things that you can do with people so that you can still get some kind of socialization. And so the Auburn Rec is actually having esports seasons. And it's still good because registration ends October 8th, so you still have some time. And so if you play Madden 20, FIFA 20, MLB The Show, NHL 20, or Rocket League, you can go ahead and join the esports season and compete in that. I haven't competed in it, so I don't know how social it is. I'm assuming it's pretty social, but I don't know if it's all positive because I know sometimes gamers are a little bit angry. Then there's also events at the parks, at various parks. And so here are just some examples. So on the 8th, there's going to be a fall sundown concert at Kiesel, which actually Kiesel is a really good park to go to for a lot of different events throughout the year. On October 23rd, there's going to be Fright Night at the Arboretum. On October 24th, there's going to be the Harvest Market at Town Creek Park. And on Halloween, there's going to be a haunted Zoom at the Frank Brown Rec Center. And then November 14th, there's the annual holiday art sale at Kiesel Park. And so that's just, within the next couple of weeks, but they also continue to host things throughout the year. And then finally, another good source of events to socialize in comes from the Office of International Programs. And so if you go to this website, they have a calendar where they'll list different things that are going on campus or on Zoom. And there's a whole bunch of different programs and groups that host culturally diverse activities and events on that page.
So sometimes you're in a crisis situation and you may need to create a coping card. So we're going to walk you through the steps of how to do that. So yeah, a coping card is good for if you're in a crisis situation or if you need immediate support, if you're having thoughts of suicide. So this could happen if you if you broke up from a personal or intimate relationship, or if you had a death in the family, or you experienced some type of trauma, or you could be having thoughts of suicide that were long-standing from childhood and adolescence, and they're continuing to now. But this is a good way to deal with those thoughts that you're having. And the goal of creating a coping card is to create some planned activities to soothe or distract yourself from these thoughts of suicide, and kind of take the edge off until these thoughts of suicide lessen. So the general instructions for creating a coping card is to use a phone or a small piece of paper, or you could take a screenshot of the slide that I'm going to show you coming up next, and just write down the planned activities that you have that we'll talk about that you could use when you're in a crisis situation or talking or thinking about suicide. These activities should be these activities should be enjoyable. They should be engaging. They should probably involve some other people, and they should take a decent amount of time, about 30 minutes per activity. Then you want to place the card in your purse or wallet or the background of your phone or someplace that's easily accessible for you so you can have it on hand, because a lot of thoughts could be running through your mind when you're in a crisis situation and you just want to have it readily available. You can go to the next slide. Some examples of activities could be talking to friends, going to eat, doing arts and crafts, or volunteering. So some of them are playing a game. Some of them may take some pre-planning. So you may have to have some things on hand to participate in the activity when you're in the crisis situation. But some of them could be quick, like taking a walk or visiting a park or reading or exercising at the rec or something like that. Yeah. So this is a blank coping card that you could use. You could take a screenshot of this screen and use it for your own purposes and just copy it down for later. Or you could write it down on a small piece of paper. And you want to write down that when I'm upset and thinking about suicide, I will take the following steps. And you'll write a line for step 1, 2, and 3. And then for step 4, you want to repeat all the steps that you create above. And then for step 5, thoughts get specific, or you're planning to do something, you're going to call a specific person. The specific person can be someone close to you, like your family or a close friend, or you can call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, which is a 24-hour service, or text connect to this phone number talk. If none of these plans are working, and you feel like you cannot control your behavior, you want to call 911 or go to the emergency room. But this next slide, I will show you a complete coping card and how to completely go through it. So yeah, this is an example of a coping card that you could make. This is what it would look like if it was completed. So for step 1, if you're having thoughts of suicide, you could go to the rec or try to do the Zoom workout like Gisele talked about. You could try to hang out with a friend or call a family member. And step 3, you could try to paint a picture using coloring book. So like I said before, each of these activities should take about 30 minutes. So you want to spend a decent amount of time on them. And they're all involving someone else, or they're engaging your time and attention. If none of these steps work for you and you're still having thoughts of suicide, you want to do step 4. You want to repeat all of them again, and again for like 30 minutes for each one of those steps. After you repeat all of them, if your thoughts get specific, you can call your best friend or call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. And after that, thoughts are getting specific, and you can't control your behavior, you want to call 911 or go to the emergency room. And here's some other crisis services resources that you could probably use. The Student Counseling Center, which is in the Med Clinic, they have a 24-hour crisis hotline that you can use, and it's open for students, and they're open business hours and after hours. So it's a great resource. They have a medical professional on hand, so that when you're in a crisis situation, you can call. And that's on campus, so it's somebody that's familiar with the Auburn community and the Auburn campus that you can connect with. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is also open 24/7 and it's free of charge. Also, the Student Counseling Center is free of charge. And they're obviously not on campus. There's a national hotline that you could use. And it's the same thing with the Text Connect national hotline that you could use when you're in crisis.
Okay, I will wrap us up today by talking about some campus resources. So if anything resonated with you here today, if you find yourself, if any of those symptoms of stress or lack of sleep were standing out to you, several of these resources might be useful. And some of them might be useful if you're just looking for other ways to get involved on campus. A lot of these resources have been already discussed by Melissa and Gisele and Eric today. So I'll just kind of summarize them. I encourage you to check out their websites if you're interested in learning more about these services. So we here are the Auburn University Psychological Services Center. As Melissa explained to you, we offer a host of different services, including individual therapy, various assessment services. We also have a parent-child interaction training, PCIT clinic, as well as the Center for Autism Research, Treatment, and Training Clinic as well. So services at the AUPSC are offered on a sliding scale, but as Melissa indicated, for Auburn students, that is offered at a flat rate of $30 for individual therapy, and then assessment services have a particular charge where you can contact us and learn more about those services. The Student Counseling and Psychological Services Center is our campus resource for mental health. So they offer individual therapy, group therapy, a variety of different workshops, several of which I believe are offered online this semester. They offer, as Eric described, walk-in services during the day if you feel like you're in crisis, and after-hours services by phone in the evening if you're experiencing a crisis. They also have connections to psychiatry services if you're looking for medication. Finally, we have the Marriage and Family Therapy Center on campus, which offers individual, couples, and family therapy. And so they offer, I believe, services on a sliding scale, and then a lower rate for Auburn students as well. So those are kind of our therapy services that we have on campus. There's also a host of other support services, including health promotion and wellness. It would take up several slides if I talked about all the services they offer, but from nutrition services to wellness coaching, they provide a lot of support services to students who are just looking to improve their mental wellness. I believe they also have a sleep resource that you can access if any of those sleep concerns resonated with you. They also are over the Safe Harbor services, which are 24-hour a day services for anyone who has experienced a sexual assault or interpersonal violence, as well as TESI and the Auburn recovery community for people who are looking to work on their substance use. Campus Rec, which I think Gisele did a fantastic job going over. That is our gym on campus, which is offering in-person groups as well as Zoom groups. They also have a lot of different club and intramural sports, the climbing wall, bike shop, and different workshops that you can take advantage of if you're looking to get outside or get moving. And then in addition, we have the Auburn Cares resource on campus, which is just a great resource to reach out to if you're concerned about a friend or want to. They also oversee our food pantry on campus if you're facing food insecurity or if you have any friends who are facing food insecurity. So they're just kind of a great catch-all resource. Again, if you have any concerns about friends who you're worried about their mental health, Auburn Cares can serve as a check-in resource for those people. We also have our academic support services, which provide anything from group tutoring or one-on-one tutoring or just assessing kind of any sort of academic support you might need. The Office of Accessibility is responsible for setting you up with any accommodations that you might need to perform at your best. And then, of course, the Office of Inclusion and Diversity which is a support resource. And if you feel, if you've been, if you've experienced any bias or anything that you'd like to make a report on, the Office of Inclusion and Diversity is a great resource for that. So we have a whole host of support services here at Auburn. This is just a small sampling of them. So I encourage you to reach out or reach out to us if you'd like any more information. And thank you for joining us today.